This is going to be impacting the cities of Madison as well as just east of Athens. So right along 72 as you cross over County Line Road as well as Interstate 565 as you go from Madison County down towards Limestone. A heavy patch of rain just northeast of Coleman, but otherwise we're starting to see that rainfall diminish just a little bit. But what that rain did is it cooled the air and kicked off a couple of gust fronts or outflow boundaries. That's these blue bands that you see on the radar here. And as they traveled up into Madison, Jackson counties, well, they sparked up a few more showers, especially in South Huntsville. Melissa, we have researchers from over 20 different organizations. That includes universities, colleges, NOAA, the National Severe Storms Laboratory, and even a Hurricane Hunter airplane. That's right. They are going to be deploying a Hurricane Hunter aircraft ahead of the storms in order to sample the atmosphere to figure out what is allowing some of these storms to crank up and produce what we call mesocyclones. That's the rotating feature within a thunderstorm, and even potentially produce a tornado. When it comes to researching hurricanes and severe weather, many participants choose to stay on the ground. But the atmosphere is constantly changing, and it spans several miles high. In order to improve severe weather forecasts, it needs to be researched from above. No doubt, it's a daunting task. Yet there are some who welcome the challenges of the job. We left Huntsville shortly before 1 p.m. and already we are south of Little Rock near Hot Springs, Arkansas. If we were in Storm Hunter 19, we would be nearing the Rogersville area. The result? Improved severe weather forecasts for all of us on the ground. And though the turbulence during this kind of research flight can be intense, and that's an understatement, there were times when the ride was smooth and was really incredible to look out the window. Go to WHNT News 19's Facebook page for a 360 view of the Hurricane Hunter's cockpit. You can see the pilots, look at all their instruments, and I even have some sneak previews as to what kind of cloud features we saw when we were up in the air. Otherwise, we are dry for much of the southeast here. Notice that we do have high pressure in store right on top of Memphis. Air flows clockwise around that high. So for the most part, we are high and dry here in the southeast. Just a few pockets of showers that are able to lift up, but otherwise it is very, very toasty. The reason why is because when we have high pressure, we're actually talking about sinking air. That is air that is pushing down on the ground. And that's kind of hard to see from this angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the map for you and check this out. So when we have our high pressure system, what happens is we get a dome of high pressure. This is literally what I'm talking about, where you have that movement, that clockwise movement of the air. It rises, and as it rises, it cools. And once it's cool, it's now more dense and it sinks. As it sinks and produces that pressure, that pushing down motion, it also compresses. Compressing air heats up quite quickly. One of the reasons why we are seeing temperatures very, very toasty today, not just here in the southeast, but also in the Great Plains as well. In fact, St. Louis got all the way up to 102 earlier this afternoon. But for now, 97 in Huntsville, 95 in Nashville, 95 in Little Rock, 104 degrees in Wichita. And that is without the humidity factored in there. The feels like that's the actual real temperature in Wichita. Right now, though, we are seeing dew points in the 70s throughout much of the southeast, and that is really what's creating that oppressive feel, that sultry feel. That's why we have that heat advisory in effect, not just for the rest of this evening, but for Saturday as well. It means heat indices are going to get 105 degrees or higher. That means the body has difficulty regulating its internal temperature. It starts to overheat. And this is what I'm saying. So your body is sweating because it's trying to stay cool, and it's most effective when we don't have high humidity, when we have drier air, because that sweat is able to evaporate and it cools your skin. Right now, though, with those dew points in the 70s, that means that we have a high humidity level, saturated air. That sweat stays beaded up on your skin. It's not able to evaporate. Your body overheats. So your body is trying, but without that sweat evaporating, it's just going to continue to overheat. That's why you want to avoid the hours of 9 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Meteorologist Christina Edwards.
We are enjoying a fantastic end to Sunday, and I think we're going to have a comfortable start to Monday before the temperatures really rise back up into the upper 80s, lower 90s. But today, it was relatively dry and comfortable, albeit a little on the warm side, about 5 degrees warmer than average. Today's high was 86 degrees. But for now, we are cooling down nicely. 68 right now in downtown Huntsville. Notice that the wind is calm. I've noticed that the dew point, which is a measure of humidity in the atmosphere, has been going up gradually over the course course of this evening. So keeping that in mind, that our temperatures when we wake up tomorrow morning, not going to be as cool as they were the day before, which were in the mid 40s to low 50s. But right now, current temperatures are very comfortable. 64 degrees right now in Scottsboro, 65 in the Shoals, a little bit cooler for Fort Payne, higher in the elevations and in our cool pocket of Winchester, already at 61. Not seeing anything on the satellite. This is just some ground clutter on our radar, but the big picture shows that this high pressure system is really what's responsible for all the really nice sunny weather that we've experienced for today and for the calm winds right now. Air is flowing clockwise around this high. That's important to know, because that's going to impact our weather over the course of the next 5 to 7 days. That high pressure system is going to scoot out towards the Atlantic. As it does so, we get return flow from the Gulf of Mexico into the southeast, turning very hazy, very hot, very humid here in the Tennessee Valley. But important to note, not going to be stormy. The reason why is because that high pressure system also acts as a blocking system for the storm tracks that do move through the center portion of the United States over the course of the week ahead. So we don't get any good chances of rain moving in here, and that is bad news considering that we're starting to see abnormally dry conditions and even moderate drought conditions developing here in Alabama. This is very similar to what I saw last year. I looked in the record books, or rather I should say the archives, and what we're seeing for the drought conditions now are very similar to 12 months ago when we started to see the drought really expand here in the southeast. This is not good news. To see the rainfall deficits about 360 for Muscle Shoals, 3.5 inches for Huntsville already for May, and it's going to be a dry week ahead. That certainly is concerning, and it's something that we'll keep an eye on for you as we go through the days ahead. But for tonight, cool and dry, getting down to 58 degrees for the week ahead. Again, this is why I'm a little concerned. With temperatures getting all the way up to the upper 80s, lower 90s, this is going to be a good 9 to 10 degrees, warmer than we should be for this time of year. Not reaching any record temperatures though, so that certainly is good news. But notice again in your 7-day forecast, slight chance of rain as we go through Thursday, Friday, Saturday as a high pressure system starts to move on out of here. But again, we need some decent rainfall here in the Tennessee Valley.
With meteorologist Christina Edwards.
A sunny day here in the Tennessee Valley. Taking a look in downtown Huntsville. This is our Veterans Memorial in the downtown area, and I'm noticing that Old Glory is blowing in the wind. We're seeing some southwesterly breezes that are bringing in that warm, humid air. Today's high officially 85, just about a degree warmer than average. We started off on the warm side too, about 5 degrees warmer than we should be for late May. But with that in mind, something else is catching my eye. These dew points. I'm seeing dew points in the 70s throughout the southeast, including Huntsville, including the Tennessee Valley, again being ushered in by these southwesterly winds. That is not good news, because when we get this warm, humid air transported into the Tennessee Valley, that means that we have ingredients for some severe weather. Not seeing a whole lot on the radar right now. We have a few green spots here where the radar is just picking up perhaps some birds and bugs and things like that. But a little bit further north, notice this, right through Nashville, all the way up into Kentucky, southern Indiana, southern Illinois, and especially into southern Missouri. Look at this bow echo, this Boeing line segment that is surging from Missouri into southwestern Kentucky. And indeed, we do already have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for our neighbors well north of us. Notice how we also have this yellow shaded area. That's a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for the Nashville area, not necessarily for Huntsville, but we are keeping our eye on that because we do anticipate some severe weather moving down here over the course of the next several hours. High pressures in store over Florida, the Big Bend of Florida. Air is flowing clockwise around it, pulling that warm, humid air up from the Gulf of Mexico. That's what I'm saying. It's a very juicy air mass, a very warm air mass here throughout the south, including Huntsville and Nashville. 79 degrees for Nashville. That's because they're starting to see that rain-cooled air move in. For us, still 84 degrees, 87 Memphis. But take a look at these dew points. The dew point tells you how much moisture is in the atmosphere, and the more humid the air, goodness gracious, the more unstable the atmosphere. More unstable the atmosphere, the more likely that you get thunderstorm development. That's why we think we're going to have some severe storms for tonight, because it is very warm and it is very unstable here in the Tennessee Valley. Anywhere from Huntsville south into Birmingham, even northeast into Knoxville, Nashville, northwest into Memphis. Be aware, we do have the potential for severe thunderstorms, including 60+ mile-per-hour winds. Very similar to last Saturday where we had those damaging thunderstorms that produced all of those power outages, downed all the power lines, and knocked down all those trees. We could see something very similar tonight into tomorrow, as well as large hail, frequent lightning, and we can't rule out the possibility of some brief tornadoes. So when is this coming in? This is our pause clock here for today, 6 p.m. Notice how all these thunderstorms start to move down right about 10 o'clock. It'll be in Middle Tennessee, surging south from Columbia down towards Franklin and Fayetteville and even Giles County. And then we're going to continue to see it move south around midnight. So this is an overnight situation. 1 a.m. that's when it starts to move into Madison, Huntsville, getting down into Decatur, Athens. 3 a.m. it finally surges further south, and from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. even through 8 a.m. we're going to start to see more of that heavy stratiform rain continue to fall, but gusty winds still possible. We could possibly see a wake low behind all of that heavy rain that comes on through. Wake lows being those really gusty winds that can still knock down more trees. So keep in mind, if you're visiting friends and family for the holiday, please be ready. Have extra water, food, snacks handy. Gather the flashlights and the batteries. Make sure everybody has towels, blankets, helmets, and sturdy shoes. No flip-flops if you're trying to walk through all that. And be sure to charge your phone. Use our Live Alert 19 app and the weather radio. Make sure you have not just one, not just two, but 3 ways of getting these alerts, just in case the power goes out where you are and the TV doesn't work, or in case the radio happens to go dead. So Greg, all of us need to be weather aware for tonight into early tomorrow morning. Even though it's a holiday, we all need to have due diligence as we go to bed tonight.
And if you haven't given it some thought, give some thought to how the people are going to keep up with this.
Oh, absolutely. We will be here at WHNT News 19, not only on TV, but also on Facebook and through our app. We will keep you notified.
Very good. Thank you.